Good people, this is Theo Dorsey from ESPN West Palm and Theoretically Speaking, and this is All You Can Heat. We'll be delivering this to you on the ESPN South Florida app as well as on YouTube and everywhere you can find your podcast all year long. The Miami Heat are entering the 2025 season a little bit underrated. Looked at their win total, 37.5, and as a longtime Heat fan and a 5-year South Florida resident, I do believe that Erik Spoelstra might be cooking up a little something here as he and the Miami Heat walk in with little expectations and a whole lot of moxie and a bit of a new look roster. So here's how we'll be doing it on All You Can Heat. I'll be delivering you some great stuff here, obviously presented by Robinhood all season long. We'll be covering some of the games throughout the year. I'll give you more overarching themes of what this Heat season is like, and we'll watch all 82 together. It's going to be a fun ride. We'll have guests. We'll have interviews, as you can see by my handy-dandy menu on All You Can Heat. We'll have a Norman Powell interview, an exclusive I got with him. Wouldn't call it an exclusive journalistically, but a one-on-one at the Miami Heat Media Day before the season tips off. We're gearing up for a tip-off at Orlando. Exciting times around South Florida as you want to see what the new look, new chapter Heat will be. And it starts with what they did this offseason. Let's take a quick look at their top 3 moves this offseason, one of which is the signing of, or excuse me, not the signing, but the drafting of Kasparas Jakučionis. Kasparas Jakučionis. Now, as you can tell, a new face here out of Illinois, a 6'5" guard, a little bit of international flair. He's going to be a bit of a project, but we'll get to why this is going to be key for the Heat going forward. We've seen guys like Jaime Jaquez Jr. have an impact and have one early. He's a playmaking guard. He's a guy that can dribble, shoot, pass, which is what you need to compete in the league today. But also, we're going to give you that Tyler Herro update and a reason as to why I think that Kasparas might get some early opportunities despite still kind of being a project of a player out of Illinois. We saw him a little bit in the preseason and in the summer league, had the ups and the downs, but 10 assists, that's a good thing to see. 10 assists in the first game, the opener against the Spurs. Didn't shoot the ball that well. We'll see what Kasparas ends up being. Of course, another major move this offseason that is going to matter for the Miami Heat was the trade for Norman Powell, acquiring the all-star snub from last year, and we're going to have that full Norman Powell interview. He great dude, like absolutely has the right mentality to come into Miami and be a guy that they can lean on early through the Tyler Herro injury, but also a guy that can potentially play his way into being an all-star. I can't wait for that one. But the offseason transaction itself was a 3-team trade between the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Heat, where the Heat move off of guys like Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson, but they bring in Norman Powell, who I do think, again, will be an immediate contributor. He's coming off of a career year. He's feeling good about what his placement can be in Miami, and it feels like he's one of those Heat culture type dudes anyways, right? I know people are getting sick of hearing about Heat culture, quote unquote. It's a real thing. And Erik Spoelstra, now going to year 18, has seen a repetitive structure of being able to get the most out of guys that the league might be down on. Norman Powell, like, don't get me wrong, nobody's down on him as a player, but he is a little bit undervalued. And the Heat get a guy that's an all-star snub from last year in the West. He could potentially make it in the East, and he also can add a bunch of points when the Heat may need it most, and they'll need it right now because the other major offseason, though, was Tyler Herro getting the ankle injury. We saw Tyler Herro at Heat Media Day. We've seen him throughout the past couple of weeks. He went from not being able to put any weight on it to now being able to practice. We saw him at FAU and Boca Raton actually being able to move around a lot more. And the weird thing about the Tyler Herro injury, it came around the same time that South Florida sports fans lost Tyreek Hill, that we've learned about Sasha Barkov and Matthew Tkachuk not being able to kick things off with the Florida Panthers, and then the Tyler Herro thing. But more oddly has been the timetables. Like, I was over there at the Heat Media Day at Kaseya Center when we learned that from Tyler Herro's mouth, he would be missing potentially 7 to 8 weeks to start the season. And then we sat down with Erik Spoelstra, and he cleaned it up a bit and said that Herro might be available earlier than expected, as this mysterious timetable for an ankle injury continues to conflate Heat fans and probably the Heat opposition as well. I know one thing that a lot of people have their eyes on is that Heat win total across a lot of sports book. I'm seeing 37.5. Like, you want to know how soon a guy who was an all-star last year, 25, 5-5, will be back and available for the Heat, because that could do a lot to what that total looks like, especially when you look at just how tough the Heat schedule is going to be in the first 20 to 25 games. I don't want to get into the minutia of that, but I will say this. The oddest part about the timetable is that Dominique Wilkins, you know him as being the human highlight reel, the Atlanta Hawks great. I believe he's got a statue outside of the Hawks arena. He said randomly on a preseason broadcast that Herro is going to be available for the first game. I don't know where that came from. It feels like the reports around the Miami Heat are shooting that down. But to go from missing potentially a month or two to then Spoelstra walking that back, then you hear that from Wilkins, my assumption is he will be back sooner than a lot of people initially anticipated. But no telling what that timetable is. The issue here is this is a new-look team. It's the first offseason in quite some time that the Miami Heat do not have that mega star, right? You've had the past 4 or 5 years where you at least enter with Jimmy Butler. Dwayne Wade, he ain't walking through that door, at least not as a basketball player. And whatever the hell that statue is outside, we all know that that might not be Wade himself. But on top of all of that, I believe that this year, particularly, Erik Spoelstra is going to mark this new chapter with a rotation of guys where we might learn that Khalil Ware can be a riser from this, going into his second year out of Indiana, the big man who can stretch the floor, has a bit more playmaking than we thought, and also is a good shot blocker. Bam Adebayo, hey, it's your team. Your girlfriend, Asia Wilson, just won another NBA or WNBA title, another MVP. I'm not trying to put that pressure on you, but I know when you go back home, I know she's going to be expecting you to put up some numbers as well. And this is now officially, for the first time, the Bam Adebayo era in Miami. So there's a lot of headlines, a lot of narratives to be able to follow along with, but I'm just excited to be a part of it. I actually got a fantasy basketball draft, and I believe I will be drafting Bam Adebayo pretty high in it. Another guy who I think will be a sleeper in fantasy basketball, but I also believe that Heat fans are going to absolutely fall in love with when they watch him at Kaseya Center, is the one and only Norman Powell. He comes to us as a wildly old vet, but he's got a lot of gas left in the tank. Here is our interview with Norman Powell as we continue All You Can Heat, and we'll wrap up this episode 1 with a heavy hitter, Norman Powell from Heat Media Day. Just in the blink of an eye, just like on July 7th when we got that good news, Norman Powell enters the building.
What's going on?
Welcome to Miami, man.
Appreciate it, man.
This
Happy to be here.
You obviously you wouldn't even care, but I mean the day that we got the news and I opened up my show here, theoretically speaking, I had some pom-poms damn near. I'm excited. We got Norman Powell in the house. How have Heat fans embraced you now that you are going to be now starting up and playing here, and you were the big offseason acquisition?
Yeah, they've been amazing, honestly. I think after the trade was announced, the uptick in my social media account went up by like 10,000 or something like that.
I was one of those.
Yeah, that's awesome. They've been great. Super supportive, super excited. I'm excited to actually have the Heat jersey on. I'm excited for training camp to get going and get this thing rolling.
The infamous conditioning test.
Yeah.
What did you hear about it before, and what was it like to actually go through it here with the Miami Heat?
I heard that it was tough. That's one thing that everybody knew about around the league. I know a lot of teams were trying to take and have their own conditioning test because of the Heat and what they've been able to do and the success they've had with it. So I was nervous for it, even though after I was traded, I was conditioning like crazy. I was track meeting it for sure. But I was able to pass. It definitely was tough. But it's a good welcoming moment to the Heat. As soon as we got done, Spo walked up to me and said, officially welcome to the Heat for completing the test. So that was great.
See, that's when it really becomes official. The trade announcement wasn't like it.
It's passing that conditioning test for sure.
Norman Powell here joining us, the newest member of the Miami Heat, and also a guy that they'll be likely leaning in on the offensive side heavily now that we do have the Tyler Herro news. Now, everybody was excited to see what it would look like in that backcourt, y'all two together. How much more are you now? I don't want to say it like that, but Spo and the guys are going to lean on your offensive threat because Herro is a walking bucket, just like people like to refer to you as a bucket out here. So they're going to need you early on. How excited are you to show what you're able to do in a Heat uniform?
I'm super excited. For me, I've talked about it before, but this is not unfamiliar territory for me. When star guy, a go-to guy, a bucket, and Tyler Herro, goes down or has to sit out, the start of the season due to injury, trying to recover. I was here last year, similar situation with Kawhi. And, the Clippers fan organization and people around not knowing who's going to step up and fill that void and keeping them competitive, and me being able to do that. So I'm super excited for, the opportunity. I want Tyler to come back 100% healthy, and I'm excited for that integration for both of us of being on the floor together. And then, that dynamic with Bam and Khalil and Wiggs and Davion and the guys, and seeing how that all puts together once we're fully healthy and firing in all cylinders. But I told him, and he texted me, hold it down for him when he gets back. And so I'm ready to do that.
Yeah, and also you got out of the Clippers organization just in time. You ain't got to say nothing. I'm just saying, like, congrats on that part of things as well.
Appreciate it.
Norman Powell joining us here as he's getting ready to embrace his first Heat training camp, which I'm sure keeps the momentum going from that conditioning test to camp right into the season. I know that, Spo likes to say everything that we want is on the other side of hard. They're going to make it hard on y'all so that the game days are easier and whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
Don't you feel like, and I feel this way, at least outside looking in, but you feel like one of those guys that's just like ready-made to fit in with Heat culture and be one of these guys that maybe people haven't heard as much about, but when you step out on the court, you're going to fear them on a night-to-night basis because what you can do.
Yeah, for sure. I think I fit that definition of Heat culture perfectly. I know people talked about, I've seen like on Gilbert Arenas' thing, like, oh, they're going to work them so hard, this, that, and the other. But like, that's who I am. That's my DNA. That's the reason why I'm still here in the league and being able to stick and grow and continue to get better each and every year, because the work and my approach to this game, and the tenacity that I have, the competitive nature that I have, and the ability to go through the hard things, and fight and dig and claw and scratch my way back up to the top when the going gets tough, and that's what Heat culture is about. It's about putting yourself and pushing yourself to the limits for success, and they put the guys one in the best shape of their lives and in the best position for them to be successful. So I'm super excited to be here, to show that work ethic and that reputation that has carried me throughout the league, and put my own stamp on the Heat organization.
Norman Powell joining me, Theo Dorsey, here on Emotion Monday on Theoretically Speaking, in the midst of Heat Media Day. We're at Kaseya Center. The ambiance is beautiful, and Norman Powell is looking super like that. Even when you answer the questions, I get a little intimidated. I'm like, he's about to drop a bucket on me? I ain't do nothing. I'm curious, though, for you, man. You're coming off a career year.
Yeah.
There's more. You probably can have another one after this. I heard you talking maybe potential all-star, because they did snub you last year.
Yeah, that's always been the goal. I mean, I look back, 3-4 seasons ago when I first got to the Clippers, and I was talking about wanting to be an all-star, wanting to be a starter, and people thought I was crazy, but this is the expectations and how I've always viewed myself. It's always been about getting the opportunity. I was never a guy that was just going to be given the team and here you go, we're going to build around you and help you develop and grow into this player. I had to do that on my own, and by keeping the faith in God and just my ability and the work that I put in, that it was going to eventually show and it was going to pay off in whatever role that is. And as my year has gone on, I've gotten more and more opportunity, and I've been able to take advantage of it, and I continue. I think there's other levels and areas that I can continue to improve on, despite my age of being 32. If you look at my career, I've played roles, so it's not like I've had super heavy logged minutes and I'm worn down. I've been in a role, and I've just been waiting for that opportunity to continue to shine and showcase my ability. I did that last year. I'm hungry to do it again and take it to another level.
People tend to also be rejuvenated by just being in sunny South Florida.
You wake up a little different when it's warm outside. Your body feels a little bit better. You're not all stiff and whatever. So it definitely is a nice little feel to wake up and see the palm trees and have a little beach weather there. It's nice.
But you know how to pick them, though, because you're coming from LA to Miami. It's not like some guys that have gone coming out of areas in which Cleveland and whatnot.
For sure. I've been lucky and blessed with having some great cities to play in through the course of my career. So, to add Miami to that list is definitely a benefit and a bonus.
Did you, when you found out, when everything shook out and you ended up becoming a member of the Miami Heat, first inclination of that is, are you thinking like, this is the place where I want to be able to round out and end my career? Like, how do you consume that? And then
honestly, I didn't think about anything of where I was going to be to end my career. Is how do I now go in to a whole new organization, a whole new system, and capitalize on what I did last year. I'm never thinking about the end. I'm always where I'm at in the moment, and being present, and continuing to grow, and carry. The end will come when it comes, but right now I'm just focused on continuing to elevate my career, elevate who I am as a player on and off the floor, and then taking advantage of the opportunities that's given to me.
Right, and I will say choice words there, because same thing happened when I was talking to Spo about it being year 18. And I'm start talking to him about what would he do next, and he's like, "Don't talk about the end.
Yeah,
Don't talk about."
I'm not there yet.
I ain't mean it in that way. I more so meant it as a place where you can now call home and like you can be here and be, because this is the kind of organization that does reward players who do exactly what you've done your whole career, and that's prove themselves time after time after time when given the opportunity. And it just doesn't it feel like at least a place where it's like, if you do what you're supposed to do, then you can be a guy that calls this the place for you.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that my agent and I talked about. Just with the history of the organization, he knows the front office really well. He knows Coach Spoelstra really well. He represented Duncan when he was here, so he's very has a close relationship with them. And we know like the history of the organization and how there's not much turnover, and they like you said, reward the guys. So if I handle my business, it'll be here. So it's definitely nice. I do some business out here, have some investments and things like that. So I always love the tax-free income states. So I can definitely see myself being here for a while. It does feel like home. Especially them talking about how badly they've wanted me throughout the course of my career and trying to get me down here. So I feel wanted, I feel appreciated, and when you feel that, you don't want to leave. So I don't see myself. I'm not thinking about anything other than coming out here, doing what I need to do, and helping this team move forward and push forward in their goals and achievements that they want to obtain this upcoming season.
Yeah, you say you feel wanted, you feel need, you feel the difference in your bank account when it's not the Cali taxes versus Florida.
For sure.
But you also, Duncan Robinson, you talk about you're going to be replacing some of that shooting he provided. He also had a podcast. Have you thought about maybe, just dipping into that? Just investments?
You know what I'm saying? I keep the main thing. I like my investments, but that's a little side thing rather than having a podcast and setting up and finding people to interview and doing all that. I feel like there's enough players doing that. I don't mind jumping on podcasts and doing interviews and things like that, but having my own, I'm cool. I am working on coming out. I guess I'll say it now.
Breaking news right here on Theoretically Speaking. Norman Powell.
We're working on coming out, launching a media company. I have a clothing brand, a foundation called Understand the Grind. So we're coming out with Grind Media, and we're starting off with kind of behind the scenes look at my career and my life, and what it goes into every day of preparing for this season, and different key moments and events going on. So we're about to launch pretty soon. We're filming some things now, putting it all together for the official launch. But Grind Media Group is definitely coming soon.
Well, there we have it. I'm gonna be locked in on that. You got to come back on Theoretically Speaking when it's official, and we'll do some stuff around that and promote it to the people.
Yeah, let's do it.
Norman, I'm glad to have you as a member of the Heat. We'll be watching you throughout the season, and good luck at camp in Boca Raton.
Yes, sir.
FAU is beautiful. I know you already know that.
Yep. Was up there for the national team.
Yeah, how did all of that go? But I was supposed to come to that media day for y'all, and I missed out on that. But how was the run at FAU, and how excited are you to get back in that gym and work out?
It was great, honestly. They were very welcoming, very accommodating. It was a great time. The guys loved it. For me, it was a passion project for me, being able to immerse myself in that culture and learn about that side of my upbringing and my family, because I didn't know much about it. But it was an amazing time up there. They're super nice. I'm glad that we're actually able to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish and move past the first round of the FIBA qualifiers, the first time in Jamaica's history that the basketball team was able to do that. We had a great group of guys who are hungry. We're just looking for more supporters to continue to come and donate and help push that program forward, because we got a lot of talent coming out of Jamaica.
Norman Powell, Miami Heat guard, Grind Media coming out soon. Looking forward to seeing all of that, and appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
This was just episode 1, All You Can Heat. Glad you joined us. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, subscribe everywhere you see it. Download the ESPN South Florida app, and you can continue to get Heat content as often as I'm able to get it to you. I don't want to promise how many times, but best know I'll be watching those games right alongside you, and I can't wait to see how the Heat do. And as always, All You Can Heat presented by Robinhood. You expect more for yourself, expect more for your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney and download that Robinhood app as well. We'll see you next time.